This trip to London wasn't planned around an itinerary or a checklist. I had a few days, a lot of walking ahead of me, and no pressure to see everything. Sometimes the best way to experience a city is simply to arrive and let it unfold. Hi, welcome to Travel Smarter, where we share realistic, thoughtful ways to experience cities without rushing. If you enjoy calm walks, real moments, and travel at your own pace, you're in the right place. And if this kind of travel speaks to you, feel free to like the video or subscribe. It really helps support the channel. I arrived in London and checked into my studio apartment. Nothing fancy, just a comfortable place to rest, unpack, and reset. On short trips, where you stay matters. A calm space makes everything else feel easier. After checking in, I grabbed a simple burger nearby. The first meal doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to get you moving. Then I took the train and started walking. London feels familiar almost immediately. The streets are busy, but not rushed. People move with purpose, yet there's a calm underneath it all. I headed out without a strict plan, just following the direction that felt right. I wasn't trying to see everything. I wasn't checking times or distances. I walked when I felt like walking, stopped when something caught my attention, and moved on when it didn't. Travel doesn't always have to be productive, to be meaningful. Walking and public transport blend naturally in London. My route took me towards some of the city's most iconic sites. Following the river helps you understand the city. So many landmarks sit quietly along it, almost casually. You notice them, appreciate them, and keep walking. The London Eye slowly turning. Big Ben standing steady, just as you expect it to. This area is busy, people from everywhere, cameras out, different languages filling the air. And still, there's something grounding about being here. Westminster Abbey feels quiet and historic, full of presence. Even with people around, it doesn't feel overwhelming. These places feel grounded. I walked toward Trafalgar Square. There's always movement here. This is London as it is, full, alive, layered. The National Gallery sits quietly nearby. After a long walk, I headed back to the hotel. One of those days where you don't need to do much. You just need to be there. The next morning started simply. A pastry from a bakery, a quiet walk to begin the day. There's something comforting about that. I walked toward Buckingham Palace. Busy, but calm in its own way. You don't need to stop for long. Sometimes passing by is enough. In London, history appears quietly. No ticket required. Buildings that have seen centuries of change are part of everyday life. What surprised me most was the green space, minutes from traffic. And suddenly, trees, open paths, and people slowing down. The city gives you permission to breathe. Along the way, I stopped for caramel peanuts. Small moments like this stay with me, unplanned, unremarkable, and completely real. London shifts constantly, sometimes grand and elegant, other times fast, loud, and modern. The contrast is the charm. All versions exist together. I stepped into Harrods. It feels like another version of the city. Polished, detailed, very intentional. I wasn't there to shop, just to observe. Lunch at Harrods Cafe. A quiet pause in the middle of the day. Travel doesn't need to be packed. Breaks matter. Later, I walked toward the river near the Tower of London. Crossing bridges always feels symbolic. You move between moods, old and new, slow and fast. This part of the city feels layered, different timelines moving together, nothing forced. It just works. Travel doesn't always need a face on camera. Sometimes it's enough to capture a feeling, where you were, how you felt, what the moment meant. After a full day, I returned to the hotel, tired but in a good way. On my last morning, I checked out and took the bus. Watching a city pass by from a bus is one of my favorite ways to see a place. You notice details you'd otherwise miss. I stopped at Westfield, London. Modern, busy, full of energy, another side of the city. One last lunch before the airport. A final pause. These are the moments I remember most. A simple meal. A warm drink. Watching people pass by. Not every memory needs to be a landmark. Soon, it was time to leave. Trips don't have to be long to matter. Sometimes a few well-paced days are enough. This wasn't a guide to London. It wasn't meant to cover everything. It was simply a walk through streets, moments, and moods at my own pace. And sometimes, that's the smartest way to travel. If you enjoyed this kind of real, unplanned walk through a city, let me know. And if you'd like more thoughtful, realistic travel content, you're always welcome here. Until next time, travel smarter.